I mean, we've been taught for hundreds of years that we're a problem, that Indian folks are a problem, and that in order to fix this Indian problem, we need to live a different lifestyle. And I remember some colleagues and we were doing some research about children in care, and the rates of children in care. And we started to have this conversation about how we constantly hear about Indigenous children being overrepresented in child welfare, about Indigenous women being overrepresented in incarcerated. They're serving longer sentences. We have, missing and murdered Indigenous women by the thousands. We have all of these overrepresentation everywhere in all these different social systems. And so having these conversations about that overrepresentation, again, puts Indigenous people as the problem, that we are overrepresented, that we have somehow become so sick that we're the root of the issue. And I remember we were having this conversation, and one of my colleagues said, what if we flipped it on its head? What if we flipped that completely over and said, no, Indigenous people are not overrepresented in all of these social sectors and systems, these Western systems, but rather that there's an overrepresentation of non-Indigenous, there's an overrepresentation of Western, Eurocentric belief systems in our families, in our communities. And so instead of, again, kind of putting the spotlight on Indigenous people as being the social issue, if we really believe that intergenerational trauma exists, if we really believe that intergenerational trauma exists in our communities, then we must also have to believe that intergenerational resiliency exists as well. And that the two go hand in hand. That we're not just these wounded, traumatized people, that we're resilient and that we've survived. And we've survived things that we were never supposed to survive. And so I think that by tapping into our ancestral resiliency and knowing that we do have, just knowing that we have ancestral resiliency is healing in itself.